I felt like this was so well executed that it was entertaining true and true. They got me with whatever they were trying to give me. And so that's always a big plus in my book. What's up everybody, I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna.
And welcome to our review of 42nd Street. For those of you who don't know, this channel is a bucket list channel dedicated to our bucket list of 101 things that we want to accomplish in our lifetime.
Right.
One of those goals is for us to watch every movie that was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards from 1927 to 2028.
That's a lot of movies.
Yes. As of now, we've made our way all the way to 1933 from 27, which means that we've completed 6 years total because we've also done 2019. But we're doing the 6th year of the Academy Award right now, which is 1932/1933. Total of movies we've watched, how many?
38?
39 movies watched. One lost, The Patriot, 1928 movie. Maybe one day we will find it and complete that year. And today's movie is, again, a 1933 movie, 42nd Street, which we're going to review because we've watched it. The review is going to go the same way all of these reviews go. First part is spoiler-free, so we'll discuss our thoughts about the movie without spoiling anything for those of you who haven't seen it. Second part will be spoiler-filled, meaning that we will touch upon specific elements of the plot and scenes and characters that we want to talk about in more details while spoiling. Don't worry though, we will warn you before we get there so you don't get surprisingly spoiled and then I tell you who Darth Vader really is. And then at the end of all of that, Anna, what do we have?
We have the ranking.
Yes. For each year of the Academy Award, we rank the movies from best to worst, well, in our opinion. And we already have like 4 movies ranked. This is going to be the 5th one to get in it. I wonder what spot it'll take. I'm really curious. If you guys are curious too and want to skip the spoiler section but still see the ranking, there will be a timestamp and a description. Okay, that's it for the housekeeping. Now, Anna, let's get right into our review. But the first part of all of it is going to be some information about the movie we've watched.
It's still my favorite part.
Yes. 42nd Street is a 1933 movie. Came out more specifically on March 11, 1933. This is a Warner Brothers film. The film was based off of a 1932 novel of the same name by Bradford Rowe. This is a comment that I made in another review, but I'm always surprised by how quickly they pulled these out, you know? The novel was written the year before.
Right.
And then the movie is already out. It was directed by Lloyd Bacon, but there's a second director of the musical numbers, who is Busby Berkeley. The movie stars Warner Baxter as Julian Marsh, which you recognized. So
is it from In Old Arizona?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Also stars Bebe Daniels as Dorothy Brock, George Brent as Pat Denning, and Ruby Keeler as Peggy Sawyer. There's a lot of other people in there, but you know, I kept it to the 4 main characters, I would say. The movie was one of the most profitable film of the year, bringing in an estimated $2.3 million off of about $440,000 budget.
Oh wow, that's like what, more than 5 times? Okay, no, it's okay.
It was also a critical success, nominated for 2 Academy Awards, so of course Best Picture and Best Sound for Nathan Levinson. The film has become revered as one of the the film has become known as like the origin of the backstage musical, meaning like the type of movie where you see them putting on a show. Like
right.
That's the story of the movie. You know?
Right, okay, so it's a movie about how they put together a show.
A show, yeah.
Okay.
Which we see a lot of. This movie is seen as like the source of a lot of the cliches that you would say like right now in these type of movies, like, oh, they always do it like this. This is where it started.
Okay, I see. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah. It was made into a Broadway musical in 1980.
1980?
Yeah.
That's so long after.
Yes, it is. But yeah, that's all the information I have for now. I have some more stuff, but we'll keep it for later when we talk spoilers.
Right.
Right now, Anna, I have only one question for you.
What question? Ask me.
without spoiling it, did you like this movie?
I did like it. It was really entertaining. It was really fun to watch. I love the musical like performance part of it so much. I thought it was so good. Story wise, it was interesting. Story wise, it wasn't that like special of a story, I would say. It was kind of a...
Would you say that because you are aware of, as I was saying, all these cliches of the genre?
Yeah, I suppose now that you mentioned that and thinking back on it, yeah, it's a story that I've seen so many times. You see it like nowadays, even in like those typical Disney teenage movies kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah,
It's
where they're
like,
putting up a high school show or something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like there's nothing interesting to me about this story, but saying that this was the first one who did it, like the show that started it all.
You see, there's nothing interesting, but to me, even today, those movies are often entertaining.
Yeah, they're very
like them.
entertaining.
Like,
I agree.
I find them interesting.
Yeah, they're entertaining. They're fun.
I feel like definitely our vision might be skewed by the fact that like this movie created a lot of the trope that future movie used, and so we look at it now and say, oh, that's not original. No, it's the other way around.
Right. This was the original one.
Yeah. I was entertained. This is the definition of an entertaining movie from beginning to end. Every character, every scene, like there's something happening, like to keep your eyes on the screen, and like you're not bored. That's definitely not a thing that happens while you watch this movie.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
A big element, a big part of it is also like the musical numbers, who cut up a bit of the story moments with either musical or dance numbers, which like kind of, you know, gives it a more dynamic feel, if you will. What did you think of those?
I mean, I really like them. I found them to be very, you know, like we said, entertaining and, you know, lively. But other than that, I really don't have much to say about it. I thought they were good performances, good songs.
Yeah.
But it was just part of the... But for me, it was just part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting because it switches from, you know, the story that we're being presented with the story that they're putting up and parallel, kind of, even though like you can't really tell what exactly was that show that they were putting on. Like even after watching the whole movie, I'm not sure what the story of their show was, but still it was entertaining. What about the performances? So other than musical wise, actor wise, what did you think of it?
I thought that Warner Baxter, who plays the director, was really good in his role.
Mm-hmm.
Especially towards the end, I felt like maybe in the beginning his character was a little bit one-dimensional, but then as the story advances, you get the feeling that that's only the front that he was presenting, and you get to know him more as a character.
Yeah.
I feel.
But I feel like you also get a lot of his character at the beginning, and from the very first few conversation he has, and then you know right there like what kind of character I'm dealing with, and throughout the movie it's just expanded on that. If you keep in mind what he was saying when the movie started, you're like, this is why he acts this way. Your opinion seems to be fluctuating up and down with this movie, but would you say that you recommend it?
Oh yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah?
I don't mean for it to seem like it's fluctuating. I really liked it. I thought it was a very good movie.
But to you, unoriginal?
No. It's a story that I'm used to, so I can't enjoy it in the same way, you know, as I would if this was the first time I'm seeing a movie like this. But I do, like, acknowledge that this movie, like you said, you know, for the time it was something new and different, and they set out the tone for a whole genre of movies to come.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, I can't help but have in mind all of the other movies that are similar to this.
Mm.
So it's not that it's unoriginal. It's just that it's a story that I'm used to. It doesn't surprise me really.
To me, you know, like I think I would fall more positively on it than you, because even if I was used to that type of storytelling and certain elements you could see coming because of tropes being reused in the future, I felt like this was so well executed, you know, that it was entertaining true and true. Like I never thought, this is just too similar to what I've seen before. I was like, they got me with whatever they were trying to give me, and so that's always a big plus in my book. So I recommend this movie definitely. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Now, Anna, let's move on to our spoiler section. So now let's start our discussion with a synopsis of the movie.
Okay.
So a director puts on what may be his last Broadway show, and at the last moment, a naive newcomer has to replace the star. This synopsis is very spoilerish. I told you I had some other information to give you.
Okay.
So just something that I thought was interesting. In the original novel, Julian, the director, and Billy, Julian and Billy are lovers.
Okay.
But same-sex relationship was unacceptable in films by the moral standard of the era, according to that entry. That could be disputed. But the film changed the romance between Julian and Billy for Billy and Peggy.
Okay.
Yeah, I said according to this entry because I found it interesting that they would say it's morally unacceptable, but they did it in the book, you know.
I mean, you know.
I know it was a different time and...
A writer writing a book
Yeah.
can write whatever he wants. It's when it's a movie, you know, something this big, there are
Big release.
a lot of people involved. So there's really no one who can do whatever they want.
But it takes one person to be courageous enough to say, hey, we should do it, you know. And I'm not saying it was not morally unacceptable. I understand the times this movie was made in. I'm just saying they could have done it.
Yeah, but you know, you have to think about it. It would
damage the movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's
box
a risk.
office wise.
It's a risk to be taken in those times.
Yeah, of course. Let's start with Julian, I guess, since we're talking about him, his character as a director. We were talking about how he gets more layered as the movie goes on. He's presented at the beginning as this guy who, you know, your health is not very good. The last show you put on almost killed you. You can't handle all that stress. You shouldn't do this show. But he does it anyway.
Right.
And throughout the whole movie, he is mean.
He's not only mean, but he's like so hands-on, controlling.
Yeah,
which makes you think, of course you got sick and you got to this point. You don't like... He wants to control every single aspect of the show. He watches this rehearsals of every performer, even the smaller ones.
Yeah, it's relentless, and they train for hours and hours. And every time he seems to not be satisfied, and when he's satisfied, he's like, okay, that was okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best that he ever says. That's okay.
But at the end of the movie, we see a shift coming in. Like the night before the show opens, he tells one of his assistants, you know, like, I'm sick. This is probably the last time I'll be able to do this. I'm calling on you now. So he's starting to delegate responsibilities, but also the big moment, which is kind of sad, like the payoff, non-payoff at the end of the movie. He's listening to the people to see, like, was this successful? You know, I did all of this work. Did it work out? And people love it.
They give him no credit.
They give him no credit.
It's all about the performance of that main star, whom he trained tirelessly
for hours
in order for her to be able to perform. Like she wouldn't have been able to do anything without him.
Yeah, and so that's interesting to see it from his point of view. Even though like most of the movie, you might think like he's a jerk, which he is, but like you kind of get sad for him at the end.
But there's also another interesting aspect of his character, which is presented when he talks to another, I don't remember exactly which one, another one of the guys there, and tells him, you know, I'm gonna put on the show and people will love it. There's no way that they won't love it. Everyone will
love it.
Think that it's a good show, but he knows that the people won't understand what it actually means to put on a show like that.
Yeah.
Like, what's the work that goes behind it? Like, people will love it and then they'll go over it. Like, oh, that was a good show.
And then they forget it. And it's showbiz, you know, it's how great it can be for a lot of these performers, because not only him, you know, we were saying like he was working tirelessly. He was making everyone else work tirelessly.
Right.
And they were doing it, you know, they were dancing for hours. Peggy faint at some point and the next day just goes back into it and dance. And so everyone up to the, even you might say, meaningless performer, you know, third dancer in the back, hidden most of the show, is still working so hard towards this. And he says it several times during the movie, which I found interesting. He is aware that this is not just me. I was thinking, this has to go well because there's 200 performers, all these technicians, etc., etc.
Right, all these people whose jobs and, you know, them being paid rests on this show being a success.
Exactly. And so he acts in a rash way, in a harsh way, but he's also thinking of all of them at the same time. which I think is interesting. Again, layers to the character.
Right. But as I was saying, all of these things appear later. Like in the beginning, you only see the harsh part where he's like judging the girls coming in, whether or not their legs are perfect for the show.
Putting up the show is not only the only story element of the movie. There's a lot of B and C storylines between the performers.
Right. There's a lot of like small romances everywhere.
Here and there, yeah.
Yeah.
Couples and non-couples trying to match up together. What did you think of that?
I thought it was interesting. At some point during the movie, I was wondering, like, is every girl here trying to hook up with someone who's involved with the performance? But then I realized, like, no, that's not what it is. It's just that they're always there. They work together. They're there every day for, like you said, hours and hours for 5 weeks. So, of course, they'll start, forming different kinds of relationships. Not necessarily romantic relationships, but also just they'll get together.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting. And it was interesting to see how, like, not all the characters interact with all the other characters, but they're somehow, like, all connected. Because, I'm friends with this girl and this girl is together with this guy and things like this.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how people get connected with each other there.
Best example, the two female characters don't meet until the end, but they are connected through the love interest of Dorothy, who's also a friend with Peggy.
Right.
And so these type of connections is also very interesting. One element that I'm sure like you could have foreseen as one of the tropes or the cliche of the genre, it's the new girl with no experience who ends up being the star of the show. Did you see that coming? I feel like as soon as the movie started, I was like, this girl.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when they are doing at the very beginning, when they're selecting the girls, she doesn't actually get in the first time.
Yeah.
But then they realize when they have all the girls that they're missing one. So they're like, oh, this girl, she's still here and she's fine. Just like bring her, So then I was like, oh, this is how it begins. It seems like to everyone there, she's nobody, but she's gonna rise to the top. But it's interesting that she doesn't actually rise through her own hard work or perseverance. Of course she works hard like everyone else there, but it feels more like a chance, like the fate.
Yeah, it's bad luck on the Dorothy's part. She breaks her ankle.
Right.
And then after they have no other choice, which I find weird that they didn't have any double,
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, they have no other choice, so they pick her because she was a great dancer. One of her friends who was also in the show was like, oh, she's the best dancer out of all of us, and half of the show is dancing anyway.
Right, exactly.
And so the director shows her the other half, which is acting and singing, which at first she's not good at.
Exactly.
So it's interesting, like you said, it was not like through pure talent alone. Like she wasn't in a bathroom singing and they were like, oh, this girl.
Exactly. Which I wonder, like, does it feel like it takes a little bit from the character?
No, because that's life, a lot of
I guess,
famous people, they got their first chance through exactly that chance,
Yeah.
And so it's just how you manage to seize that occasion that matters. And for her, she worked the whole day with the director and managed to do it. A lot of people would have cracked. I don't know that I would have.
And it worked out for her. Like at the very end, when the show ends, and the people are talking about, like, all they're talking about is her.
It's her, yeah.
How good she was.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was an entertaining movie. Like I'll say it again. All in all, it might have been predictable at some elements, but still, I was entertained from beginning to end. Yeah, fun movie. Recommend it.
Yeah, I recommend it too. I think it was really, really nice.
Now let's get to our ranking. So Anna, I'm going to remind you what the current ranking is.
Okay, remind me.
So
although I didn't forget.
Number 4, Farewell to Arms. Number 3, Smiling Through. Number 2, She Done Him Wrong. And number 1, I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. Now, where would you put this movie, 42nd Street?
I think maybe I would put it at number 3.
That's where I was gonna put it too.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it when we agree.
We've been agreeing a lot. Like, it's not pre-arranged.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not talking about this before.
Yeah, no. And so it's funny that we agreed on, I think, all of these as of now.
Yeah.
Without having to really debate one point or another. But let's talk about it. So why number 3 exactly?
So, well, obviously, it's between She Done Him Wrong and Smiling Through.
Mm-hmm.
I think that She Done Him Wrong, still for this day and age, brings something different in the shape of the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that the story and the character development that we see in this movie matches up to that character in She Done Him Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
As for Smiling Through, I still found it, I liked the movie, Smiling Through, but I feel like compared to this one, it's a much more simple story. I feel like this one still manages to capture different aspects of the, you know, the human behavior in
Yeah.
certain situations, and then relationships between people in a better way. And I find it more interesting because of that.
Because they are juggling so many different characters too, and
Right.
each one of them does get a good amount of, you know, development and characterization throughout the movie, and so you can, like you said, get different aspect of human nature put in these kind of situation, how would they act. As for whether or not I would have put it at number 2 above She Done Him Wrong, it really came to not that much to me, you know. Like as I was thinking about it, at some points I was like, oh, maybe it's number 2, and then at some other times I'm like, oh no, number 3 actually. It's just when asking the question right now, it came to me that no, this should be number 3, you know. Like, what is my gut feeling telling me? And so that's where I'm agreeing to put it at number 3. So the new ranking, Anna,
New ranking.
is number 5, A Farewell to Arms. Number 4, Smiling Through. Number 3, 42nd Street. Number 2, She Done Him Wrong. Number 1, I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. And yeah, that will be it for our review of 42nd Street. If you guys liked this review, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment in the comment section below. Have you ever seen this movie or similar movie in the genre? What did you think of it? As for this channel is not only a channel dedicated to watching movie, it is a bucket list channel, so we do a lot of things on here. We cook, we travel, we watch stuff. So I invite you to check some of our other videos and subscribe if you like. Thank you and have a nice day.
They didn't tell me you were here. It was grand of you to come.
No, it won't do. Look, have you ever been in love? Did you ever have a man hold you in his arms and kiss you? Now you're in the spirit of the thing. You love this man. Now give it all you've got. Let me hear it.